Where are we going?
Sketches, drawings, trade. Who is this?
Yes, me.
Records, documents.
So happy I could be a part of the project. It's it was well received when you shared it with me.
Technology, arts and society of late civilization.
I didn't even know I had this
The
book.
Viking world, and then from the west, from Ireland, there are influences coming in with Celtic Christianity. So all these influences from these three different culture worlds. It's fascinating to me to see how they intermix and end up producing Northern European civilization, of which we're at the tail end of.
YouTube celebrities, it's just
so
a
you're
whole
keeping
world
creative. You've got lots of projects going.
I don't know.
Doing monumentally boring work. I've been recovering broken files.
I was listening to the news the other day and a piece came on about...
So there's no clear ontology, just staring at dark flows.
So yeah, you must be having quite a summer over that side.
So Massini Horton is a quantum cosmologist who combines string and quantum chops. A landscape, which is an energy field, and these universes are waves, flowing and crashing over, condensing at points in this landscape. So energy from this wave gets trapped at these various mountain range points, peaks on this energy field. Where they get trapped, these universes are made with different properties. Yeah, so the entanglement, they all call it crosstalk. So they're kind of like a universe's birthmarks. The birthmarks are these cold spots in microwave backgrounds. So I'm trying to whittle down these sketches to a few marks of their visual score, these nervous lines which kind of scratch and seethe with stress, and stabbing variations with this kind of clotted pressure of overdrawn lines. It's all severe without flourish, like a peculiar line of mine that I had since school. Total unity is already there. The germinal idea is like it's sudden, mooding and ingredients and flows are already there straight away. So now it's about experimenting with defining the content with the drawings, then figure the right software and workflows. Now working on details and their refinements, they have a completeness which allows them to be self-contained entities which can be bracketed. Yeah, it's still in support of the total development of the opening sequence, which is compressing Massini's waves, which condense at those peaks in that field, which contain a folding of deep time. It's a flat 3x4 surface plane, which will have this animated video sequence, mini DV video. So that is a ghost of a video as a truth event, or ontological chops. But it is the self-consciousness which will melt down, and the plane will emit tears which will lacerate its surface and create a pool of tears for this abstracted vessel of a hanged man. From that plane, the extrusions or the fluid emissions are a movement towards Gadamer's increase of being. So not quite. It's a simulated sublimating process and recasting the ghost of that previous work and those underworld associations. Yeah, the image and its contents are pressing forward, searching for a form, finding its voice. The throat and that throat chakra are one of the key aspects of it. So like the line drawings, it's tentatively coming into visibility.
Abstraction of this idea of the multiverse as waves, as energy. I was imagining that as a world tree where I would hang this abstracted figure of the hangman on there.
That's cool. I like that. Yeah, that's a great idea. And now I'm working on the essays about the history of Western or possibly planetary literature. We'll see how it plays out. It's fascinating to me, especially that period, learning how a civilization comes into being and how that's reflected in these texts. It's really fascinating. I would like to do, Western literature from Beowulf to Gravity's Rainbow. So I think that would be a lot of fun. And again, something that no one else has done. Harold Bloom used to do stuff like the Western canon just from the English department and not somebody who is well versed in other fields like philosophy and poetry and the arts. I have versatility with all of those, so I want to try to bring that knowledge in. And I see it, when I look at it, I see it as very much a kind of miniaturization on the part of this Anglo-Saxon Christian, possibly a monk or whoever he was, who knew Scandinavian mythology very, very well, but was a Christian, and he knew the Beowulf story. There must already have been circulating some kind of orally told Beowulf tale, and he brought in this mastery, the first great Western literary artist this guy was. It's too bad we don't know his name, because he's just a consummate artist. And he miniaturizes Scandinavian mythology. He takes the whole Scandinavian world and just scales it down and miniaturizes it and compresses it into this what appears on the surface to be a very simple story, but it's actually extremely complex. Text is this kind of shadowy reflection of the world of Scandinavian mythology, which is like this Platonic universe of forms that he's capturing glints of, little echoes and shadows that are cast into his world. Heorot means part, which is stag. The stag, heart, hall, for two reasons. One is that stags in mythology were seen as antipathetic to snakes. They eat snakes. Okay, so Grendel's world, though he's not a snake, he lives in a swamp that's surrounded by snakes. It's full of this nest of serpents. So Grendel is associated with the realm of snakes, monsters, fiends that come up out of the underworld, whereas Heorot is named after the hart that is the antagonist of snakes. But also, the other interesting detail about stags is that in Scandinavian mythology, the stag comes up out of the underworld with the sun in its horns. So it carries the sun up out of the underworld. You're supposed to picture it with antlered horns hung all over the inside of the hall.
Yeah.
And it's this creation of a cosmos of light that affects a clearing. And another thing these scholars don't know is philosophy. This is a Heideggerian clearing, a Lichtung, that's being opened up. A clearing, which is the space of encounter between entities, where entities unconceal themselves out of the darkness and encounter each other. And so that's basically what the creation of this hall is, this clearing within which entities can begin to unconceal themselves. The word that we use for hell is Scandinavian. The Scandinavian hell was simply this dark, murky, boggy swamp. If you didn't get killed in battle, you went to this place. You didn't get to go to Valhalla, you went to Hel, H-E-L, which is also a female negative anti-god figure named Hel. She's the spawn of Loki. But then they inherited the Mediterranean idea of hell, which is a hot, fiery place, through the Latin Roman tradition, and then that comes up. Basically, Grendel is a giant who's come in from outside the wall. Yeah. Symbolically speaking, what do we do with giants? We send Thor. Instead, they have anglicized Beowulf. He's continental, but somehow he's been imported to Northumbria, because Northumbria was a culture zone. It had Celtic influences from the north with the Picts, who lived in the north. Yeah. And they were regarded as barbarians. And then in the south was where all the civilization was going on. It was ideally situated to be surrounded by cultural influences from all these different civilizations. And so you get all these conflicting sign regimes. The Christian sign regime that is painted over this veneer of the Scandinavian sign regime that's underneath it. And there are various points where there are these hooks. What Lacan might call the quilting points, the stitching point, where the two sign regimes are stitched together. One of them is indeed the hanged man, because in both traditions there's a hanged man. Wotan hangs himself on the world tree in Scandinavia, but here's this myth of the crucified man who also hanged himself on the world tree. Mm-hmm. That made it more readily acceptable. Thor's hammer became identified with the cross. It's a kind of T-shape. Was easily identified with the Christian cross and could be worn around the neck. And so there are all these quilting points, these stitching points where the two regimes were stitched together. But this guy, this brilliant genius, was like living in a world that was dying out, and he was Christianized, so he knew the world that was coming in, and he was like caught right in between these two worlds, and he knew them both very, very well. And so he's sort of compressed the entirety of Scandinavian cosmology and miniaturized it into this text.
Where are we going?
Between each node of organised sound and background noise that is low and chaotic and mixed from multiple sources, there's usually one more element.
I didn't even know I had this.
So just for the record, if you could just introduce yourself. I'm Chris Boyd, artist and animator.
A local artist, like quite
Inside.
Okay.
So we've got a local artist who's doing stuff internationally.
Fantastic. Obviously, disappointing news.
And now he's slowed until the wind was a whisper in his face.
This is
The faint outline of an oncoming waveform which informs our precognition.
He turned round the bed in such a quick amount of time to have such a
That is
profound effect as well.
excellent. Yeah. Well, it's the beginnings of the creative ecosystem. These artists are going to be kind of civilising all these industrial decay. When did they do an official announcement?
They still haven't done it. We just kind of got. This will give you some really good comments because it's about where your hopes art goes and what.
Right, we're here at Warrington Town Hall to find out about Warrington's 2021 bid to be City of Culture.
Nice to meet you, Chris. He's really backing our bidding. That was brilliant. Pretty amazing. So he's a local artist. Right. He was on. Oh, did you see him on BBC? Did you see the BBC broadcast? No. Well, he was like brilliant on it. Okay. So he's going to be on the picture of us because, in terms of the next generation of like, this is what we need to tap into. But
for 2025.
Yeah. He's had some real praise from big names in art.
Thank you very much for all your help. Again, this is just sort of the beginning of things to come. We're already talking about the idea
announcements for the next one.
Yeah, but we're already talking about the idea of residency programs. So there are things that we are going to start developing. The next year is going to be a very different year to the previous year when it comes to arts and culture in Warrington, because there's so much that's been brought about through this process that people are now going to see a very different approach to it. It's the sort of the box has been opened.
Yeah, you just kind of like show it's not ability or anything like that, or it's just people and human nature.
Yeah, I'm not surprised in the least by that.
Warrington hasn't been successful in the bid for 2021. What are the plans moving forward?
I mean, we always said that the bid process itself was going to be the most rewarding part of what we've done. Right now, our focus is on making sure that we ensure everything that we've done as part of the bid process is maximised. We've got a fantastic bid. There's an awful lot in there that we have to do no matter what, and we always said that when we undertook this process. So as far as I'm concerned, no matter what, we've opened up something now which is going to be a fantastic renaissance of cultural services in Warrington to the benefit of all the residents.
To those who've been critical of the bid, who don't see the benefits of becoming a City of Culture.
If we look at Hull bid for 2013 never got shortlisted, then won 2017. It's about understanding where your gaps are, filling those gaps and making sure that you come back with a finished agenda, one which is worthy of becoming the UK City of Culture. Individual statues, one in particular for Pete Postlethwaite, one of the late great Warringtonians. Make sure that we're the favourite come 2025.
And what sort of work will you be doing to ensure that we do become a hot favourite?
I think we've got to invest in cultural services. I'll be frank, it involves investing and capitalising on what we've already got to make sure that it gets bigger and better and bolder, and that's what we and I as portfolio member for Culture and Partnerships are going to do. And also, it's made us find out who in Warrington is doing what, and why aren't we doing more together to maximise the impact we can make with cultural services throughout the borough.
Moving forward in a positive way. Absolutely.
If we encourage you, something really good might come out of this.
The vlogs are kind of like a behind the scenes.
Gotcha.
Sketches.
Sketches, yeah. Nobody who wants to do sketches is the best thing you can do. You can do way better than that.
Way off, alone, out by himself, beyond boat and shore, and strained to hold a painful, hard, twisting curve.
Between each node of organised sound and the background noise that is low and chaotic and mixed from multiple sources, there is usually one more element.
That's a big ass claim.
The reverberation, the faint outline of an oncoming waveform which informs your precognition of everything.
It always comes through. It always comes through.
Yeah, the poetry thing was an experiment, so I cranked out, like 5 books of poetry, but I have to get to a point where I'm ready for it. To take on something of that magnitude, it's going to require a lot of research.
The bodily movement from that camera within the polis and the environments of structured flows, rigid architectural strata, for me is an echo of simulating chaos or Lorenzian chaotic tractors in a CGI viewport. So it's always in that cuboid, and that is similar linear structure. Plus it's made up of the alpha linear code.
And I went YouTube last night just to see what kind of music, because of the opportunity.
I mean, at least you checked them out.
Yeah.
And
do you speak Japanese?
I don't know.
I mean, like the poets that I talked about, with Professor in Manchester, is like William Carlos Williamson or like Richard Brottingham, and so like for them, or for him at least, they seem really flat. The language has no texture or anything. But for me, actually, because it's flat, it's more accessible. Because it doesn't rely or depend on connotations of the language that it holds in the history. So even if you're not like deep into Shakespeare or whatever, you can still get it. If you don't understand the Latin, blah blah whatever, it's like, so fucking what? Girl from Uganda. And she's won like some international poetry awards, but the UK prints are not interested in publishing her work, but the US did. So she published in US. She first published in Ghana, and then she published in the US.
Yeah, this really sorry translation. It's unnecessary. You can say more, like
I used to spend an entire day just trying to make a dent.
And randomly, it's just beautiful.
The one that comes from Benin in Nigeria, originally from Benin?
Oh yeah?
Yeah, it's that church.
A life of comfort that is quite deprived of intense experiences.
New religious movement in Haiti.
Just in the... That's very specific.
Some Pentecostal church in Africa is very fanatic. Sometimes they become fanatic and they just cause some problems in their religions. And actually, this was my topic, how actually.
What do you mean by causing problems by the
attacking really the people physically.
Is this someone that lives in the south of France?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So his friend, Amélian, is one of the performers.
That's what artists do. They civilise these decaying industrial areas. It is underestimated. As an endeavour both practically and culturally.
It's fascinating to me, especially that period, learning how a civilization comes into being and how that's reflected in these texts. It's really fascinating. It's like this Platonic universe of forms that he's capturing glints of, little echoes and shadows that are cast into his world.
She was telling me about the etymology of heart.
Hold on, telling you about what?
She was telling me about the etymology of heart. The Greek saying that it was mind. So when people...
You're fading out, I think, Chris. The etymology of heart?
Yeah, saying that the Greeks meant it as in mind.
Way off alone, out by himself beyond boat and shore, and strained to hold a painful, hard, twisting curve.
It just seems like, when you were saying sort of stag and the horns kind of growing out, I was thinking...
I think for Aristotle, the brain is just stuff. It's just this excrescence that's in the skull, and there's no intellect in it whatsoever. You get Gebser charting an ever-present origin, where he's charting the mind being initially in the viscera, the intestines for the primitive sign regime. Next the spicy, the study of entrails and organs, and then it moves up to the heart with the Greeks in the mental world, and then eventually up to the brain with the northwest.
Head northwest.
I've got like this kind of framework and structure for like the dead rooms, and then one of them which was more related with the Philippines, blood and guts.
Body, the center there, just below the rib cage, is called the hara.
Yeah.
Which is where the vital center of your whole being is for the Zen tradition, being the center, the vital center of your whole being. It is, now that you mention it, that does sound like an atavism, doesn't it? Like a holdover from the primitive sign regime that identifies the mind with the viscera, the entrails. The sign regime, you get anachronistic carryovers of symbols and archaic thought ideas that carry on into those sign regimes.
Yeah, it feels like a almost ancient sort of semiology, just kind of relating things like walnuts, the shape of a walnut to a brain.
Still somehow an atavism of the resemblance of how it looks.
Yeah.
It looks like a brain when you open up the shell, and that's kind of strange.
Stairs?
Almost like the two hemispheres.
No? You don't like stairs? The importance of the relationship between the gut biome and cognitive function is well known now. So that T shape, which was from Cathortian script, where the C becomes T, it gets recoded into the anechoic chamber. It's not quite a cuboid, so one wall is open, it will behave as a viewport, camera obscura.
It's like a nice connection.
Hold on, you faded out there. And now I can't hear you.
Are you hearing an echo of yourself?
Somewhere, this river joins another, then another, until, far from my heart and sight, all of them merge with the sea.